Hi everyone. Right now I'm here with Mrs. Lander, Ricardo, and Carla from the diversity class to just give everyone the scoop on it. So what's up guys? How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having us in.
Doing great.
Good.
So what's up with the diversity class? Like what is it? Was it formed?
So I had the opportunity to create the Seminar on American Diversity now 4 years ago with Anase Omayeni, who was a rising senior at the time. And we co-created the class. And we wanted to create a different style of class that would be very student-led, student-directed. And so we wrote a curriculum that would both allow us to dive deeply into the history of social justice and the fight for equity and justice in this country, and then also create opportunities for students to take ownership and leadership in the class.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the course is run now for, this is the 4th year it's running. It looks different every single year. There are parts of it that stay the same. We spend 2 days really deep diving into history, laws, Supreme Court cases, change makers. We spend a day looking at creative responses. So we might be watching a music video, we might be reading poetry, we might be listening to a speech. We spend 45 minutes on Thursdays doing a Socratic seminar that I am not a part of. I sit outside and they just discuss the messiness of this history. And then on Fridays, students lead the class and they choose a topic within the unit we're studying. And they're the teachers for the day. But each year we've also published a book. And so
That's awesome.
The first year we published a book, Defining Diversity, that we sent out across the country, and so it's now in schools in almost all 50 states. The second year we published Achieving Equality, and then last year we published We Are America and We Are America Too.
Yeah. So, Ricardo, how has your experience been with the class considering you graduated last year?
That class was different from every single other class that I had. I felt free, able to express my opinion without getting judged. It was awesome, with an awesome teacher.
Yeah. Were any of your perspectives challenged or changed, or did you experience any major difficulties in the class?
No, we all changed throughout the year. We started at the beginning of the year. They gave us a piece of paper with some questions in it, and along the year, we saw those answers changing little by little. And at the end, the answers were so much different than the beginning.
Yeah.
They completely changed. So we all changed.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Is this similar for you? Carla?
To be honest, at the beginning, it was a really hard class because that class was more like personal and you had to talk a lot about yourself and who really you were. And at the beginning, most people maybe didn't know who they were, but at the end, you get a sense of really who you are and how do you identify as an American in general. But it was hard, the part when we had to like make circular circles, for example, and you had to take into account that everyone has different opinions, and you can argue with them and you can like call them out on stuff because it's supposed to be, and you're supposed to feel good in that environment and comfortable.
Yeah.
So that was kind of hard.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of the class, actually?
I think I liked the Socratic seminar the best.
Yeah. What's the format of them? Is it just everyone talking?
So everybody, she gives us a set of questions at the beginning of the topic that we've been discussing throughout that week. And then we have questions that we can start from. And one person starts and then everyone keeps adding on to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is this the same experience for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the same class.
You mentioned the book earlier. How's working on the book this year for you two?
Well, when we worked in the book, at the beginning it was hard because you needed to find a story that you could tell.
Yeah.
And I did not know what I was gonna write. I was feeling like, oh my God, my life is so boring. But like, then getting to write the story, I feel like better, and I feel like someone could relate to what I've been through and learn from it too.
How about for you, Ricardo?
The year where I took the class was, at first I thought that I have a story, And I told Miss Lena countless times it didn't have a story. She said, yes, everyone has a story. So I went a bit in the past on a dinner in a regular day. I looked over my table and I saw lots of different colors, different skin colors, and we're all family. So I decided to write about racism and equality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
This is for you, Mrs. Lander.
Yeah.
Pardon me, Miss Lander. What's your favorite part about teaching this class, or while you were teaching?
So many parts. I mean, it is so powerful to work with the young people that I have the honor of working with. That day one, I warned the class that it's going to be a hard class. It's going to get messy, because to do this type of work, you need to be honest. As Carla was saying, you need to look at yourself and where you come from. What are your biases? What are your blind spots? And that's hard work to do. That's hard work as an adult. That's particularly hard work as a teenager. And you have to be willing to be vulnerable, because we're not going to grow unless we're at the edge of just being a little bit vulnerable with each other, making sure that it's a safe space to be vulnerable. But my students amaze me every day in their willingness to do that, to ask hard questions, to push each other, but then also support each other, and then also to critically examine their own views and be honest with themselves, and then just how hard they work. I ask a lot of my students. I ask them to read Supreme Court cases and to debate hard pieces of our history that in many places and for much of time we've maybe tried to look away at. And my students are always willing to try. And then the book itself, just publishing a book, writing a book, takes immense amount of work, both in class and out of class. And they rise to the occasion and far exceed it.
What is We Are America specifically about?
So it's our personal stories. We just had to pick a story that we felt like influenced our lives, and that we were able to tell it to the world, because we knew that everybody was going to be able to read this book. So you don't want to like tell a story that you don't feel comfortable with everybody knowing. But yeah, most people just wrote about when they came to America for the first time and how their lives were back in their native country. And
Did you personally write about that?
I personally wrote about me speaking in English. Like, I was afraid to speak the language, and it was hard at the beginning. And so I just basically wrote a story of that.
Any shout outs or anything for you guys?
Well, I'll jump in a little bit more too on the story of the book. I think one of the things that drove us is that when we study history, we study big history. We study change makers, we study laws, we study movements, and that's all incredibly important. But in a class that's called the Seminar on American Diversity, how are we to really understand the history of diversity and equity in this country if we don't understand each individual story? And that big history is made up of all those little histories. And so we felt that it's important for us not only to study that big history, to study the change makers, to study the laws and the movements, but to also take stock of all of these different stories. And so that each individual story, and then seen as a collective, and so that you have a book of all of these individual histories, is what's really going to help us fully understand what diversity in America really means.
This seems like an extremely hard class, and you've mentioned it before. Are there many conflicts of interest between students in this class?
I feel like this book is a little corner for everyone. It has a story for everyone, and if not, we will have soon. Many students has different stories, and I recommend this book for everyone, because they will maybe find their corner on one of the stories. They'll understand what's going on and maybe find an answer. I think that's...
Is it really hard to communicate these things to your classmates? Like, I know not everyone may know each other, but are there often conflicts during class, whether it be Socratic seminars, or are you guys pretty accepting of each other?
There were at the beginning because obviously we just started getting to know each other,
Yeah.
and there were topics that were very personal to talk about. And so in the Socratic seminars, you had to talk because you either talk or you don't get a grade. So everybody pretty much had to talk, and obviously not everyone thinks the same. And there were a lot of discussions mainly about politics. They will get into that, and that will be no end of that. But also when we got to talk about sexuality, that was something big, and feminism and all that,
Yeah.
which is a hot topic. So
I
Yeah.
think one of the things that's important is setting ground rules. And so we do a lot of work as a class at the beginning of establishing trust and establishing norms. That as I was saying before, to do this type of work, to have the discussions that Carla and Ricardo are talking about, you have to be vulnerable and you have to try out ideas. And to do that, you've got to know that people won't take that outside the classroom and just use it as gossip.
Yeah, okay. Can you discuss a little bit about this national project you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, so this year we've taken the book outside the classroom, and 14 student founders, including Carla and Ricardo, are working with me, and we're working actually with 40 teachers across the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so 40 teachers in 25 states, from Alaska down to Hawaii, South Central LA, over to Florida, and all the way up to a small fishing village in Maine.
Oh my goodness.
We're working with 1,400 students who are going to be also writing books just like ours, and telling their stories on a website that another LHS alum built out for us.
Oh, wow.
And so there's going to be a library of 1,400 stories of American identity by the end of the year.
That's insane. How's this project looking like the logistics? Because this is a crazy project.
I think right now it's going pretty good. We communicate by emails, and almost every week Islander sends us the templates. We send it each person. We have teams of 2 people, and we all send the emails to our assigned teachers, and then they tell us how they're doing and what part they are in the project and all of that. We help them with whatever they need, and so on.
Yeah. Where can we find this book? You said it would be on a website. Is the website live yet, or?
Yeah, the website is We Are America Project, right? Yeah. And you can find information. You can find information about us, how we started, information about the teacher, the founders, and you can also listen to most of the stories that we wrote in the website.
Yeah.
Where can you buy the book?
And the book in the school store, and you can get it in the library too.
Yeah. How much does it cost?
$10.
Yeah, that's really good. Awesome. Well, that's pretty much it for the interview. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.